Good morning, Dragon Squad. A little conversation that I thought it was pretty important that we have in these last days in the run-up to the election about Donald Trump's, I guess, it's not like his campaign doesn't have a few last-ditch things that they're trying to do, but in terms of trying to change the conversation to be about something that they think is going to benefit them, this one I think is coming up very short. And the main reason that I want to have this conversation right now is because we have some new information about how their attempt to manipulate the press and then eventually the electorate is just really not working at this point. And you know I love data, so we're going to get into that. We would be talking about this on the show, which is going to be coming up in like 40 minutes with Viviana Vigil is going to be joining me. We're going to have an awesome show, but it's already packed and it's locked and it's ready to go. And there's just too much news. There's just too much news. So here's what we're going to talk about. It's basically about Hunter Biden and about the laptop and about Ukraine and about China and about the billions and about all of that stuff. So apparently that's been going on the media side. And you probably saw the really pathetic, desperate thing by Tucker Carlson. We're going to be talking about that in the show later. That's not what this is about. What this is about is the fact that apparently Trump is on the verge every day, according to reporting by the Daily Beast, in wanting to directly speak with Bill Barr about announcing an investigation into Hunter Biden, saying that they're going to do something. Now, there's like 5 or 6 days until the election, so they wouldn't actually be able to do the investigation before then. But the idea would be if you announce it, then something. I don't know. It's going to make Biden look bad. It's going to do the thing that happened in the final week of the 2016 election. They have, it's like I always say about Trump's lines in debates. He's the most predictable person in the world, so this is something he apparently wants. Now, what's interesting is that he is being counseled against doing that. So according to this Daily Beast reporting, according to 2 individuals with knowledge of the matter, the president has been counseled by some senior aides that he should avoid picking up the phone and telling Barr directly that the Justice Department needs to open up a new investigation into the Bidens prior to the election, arguing that if such a call leaked, it would cause more political headaches than it's worth. Now, there's something really important there that might not be obvious, but let's just note, first of all, that they're saying don't do it directly, which does not rule out doing it in some other way. So that's a possibility. We'll leave that to the side. But why is that paragraph so interesting about how they're like, dude, don't call him up and say that he needs to investigate him. That could cause political headaches. Well, yeah, of course it could. That's why he got impeached, dude, for literally that exact same thing. Not to Bill Barr, but Bill Barr was on the line for the call that you had with the government of Ukraine when you tried to get them to launch investigations into Hunter Biden to make Joe Biden look corrupt. It's the same thing. And let's also acknowledge that while Trump being impeached didn't cause him to be removed from office, I don't know for sure how much overall it hurt his approval rating or really seemed to matter in any objective sense that an outsider could look at and say this actually hurt him. We do have to acknowledge that it is entirely possible that one of the reasons that this whole renewed Hunter Biden thing and the trying to make the implications that Ukraine or China or whoever is working with Joe Biden doesn't seem to be working, doesn't seem to be breaking through, it might be because of that whole thing. The fact that we went through a couple of months about news about Ukraine and Hunter Biden and all of that stuff. And then we went through the impeachment. That might have disarmed this attack. We can't say. I have no idea. I don't think it's possible to prove that. But it is possible that in the end it did actually have some sort of effect. So they're worried about that call leaking. The fact that he ordered it coming out, that potentially hurting him. I don't even necessarily share their fears. I think that it would be kind of pointless. I don't think the investigation would really help them. But if they did do the investigation, the fact that Donald Trump ordered it, it doesn't matter. The only people that would care about that investigation are people that are perfectly fine with Trump ordering it and indeed are probably yelling it every single day at their TV as Fox News is on. They want him to do that. It would be kind of pointless. It would just be preaching to his bassy choir. But that's what they want. You know what? Choirs like to be preached to, as we always say. So anyway, they're attempting to stop him from doing that, which I can't say definitively is an acknowledgement that in the senior ranks of his aides, they get that this isn't really helping them. It's entirely possible that it is just worries about the fact that there might be some blowback from it coming out that it was him. But his senior aides don't necessarily want him working closely with Rudy Giuliani on this for one reason or another. So let's talk about potentially why. And again, I'm going to show you some numbers. I can't tell you exactly how we got to this point where these numbers are the way they are. Thank you, Deb Does Readings. I appreciate that. I don't personally love my channel. I think it's okay, but I like that you're a fan of it. Okay, so can't say exactly how we got to this position, but I can tell you a little bit about the numbers. So there have been a couple of different October surprises. Some obviously designed by Trump and his goons. Some, like Trump and everyone else in the White House getting coronavirus, probably not what they intended necessarily. But I want to talk about this one, the attempt to define the conversation going into the election, basically. To those of you who are saying that you're not getting notifications, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly why that is. I would say subscribe to the channel. That should be enough. But they also added the bell thing, so hit the bell. I don't know. Hold on. Please remove the content for kids setting on your YouTube channel so that I can receive notifications to my phone when you go live. I don't know what that means. I know that when I go live, it says you can mark it if it's not appropriate for children. I think it's okay if children watch this. I think they need to know about Rudy Giuliani more than anyone else. Anyway, I'll look into it. Apologize if you don't get the notifications. I will say that I can't say going forward whether there will always be these pre-shows. Basically, it's just if we have a bunch of news that I want to get to that we can't get to, I'm doing it. But it's generally going to happen around this time, about an hour to 45 minutes before the show, basically, if it happens. So we'll see. Yeah, hit the bell, then click all. That would be great. Thank you. You can check off if it's for 18 and over, but I think this is for everybody, I think. Anyway, let's get into the numbers because we don't have a ton of time. I do still have to prep for the show. Okay, so is it working? Is any of this working? We've had that conversation probably 10 times on the show. Little, casual conversations about whether it seems to be breaking through. And it doesn't really seem like it is based on the fact that the media this time isn't running with it in the same way that they were in 2016. You don't have as much of the online people trying to profit from making it out to be a bigger thing than it was. A lot of that stuff doesn't seem to be happening, but that is not the same as it's not affecting people's vote. And we honestly don't know. I mean, we can look at the polls and we can say that Biden still looks like he's winning potentially. I don't know. But let's take a look at direct information, actual polls having to do with the Hunter Biden thing. So YouGov has done a poll, Washington Examiner, YouGov, and there's a couple different things I want to jump into here. The first is, do you think that Hunter Biden has engaged in corrupt business dealings? Is there something to what they're saying? This is not, going through list by list, what did Joey Babalui say and all that. Just in general, do you think that he's done something corrupt? And that seems to be breaking through at least a little bit. Overall, amongst registered voters, 45 to 32 voters say, yes, he's engaged in corrupt business dealings, which honestly seems fair to me. He is a relative of an old school politician. Yes, he is probably engaged in corrupt business dealings to some extent or another. Now, when you break it down amongst groups, it's a little bit different. Democrats, 11 to 57, say that he did, so a lot of them are not necessarily buying it. Look at the numbers for Republicans, man. I mean, what do you think? Really fast, before I read the numbers, let's have a little bit of fun. Okay, what percentage of Republicans say he has engaged in corrupt business dealings? Karsten, hello to Germany. I've had very good experiences in Germany. Let's see, I've got a 99 to 1, an 80%, a 90, 100%. Okay, well, it's not going to be 100, Sony. Yeah, a couple of you got it close. I don't think anyone put the actual number. 110% funny. 91 to 3. So now, what percentage of those 91 do you think could say what it is that he did? Anyway, so they're definitely buying it. But anyway, independents, 45 to 27. So the independents numbers are actually pretty close to registered voters, which sort of makes sense. I mean, independence can be defined in a lot of different ways. The way that we define it when we talk about ourselves being independent or whatever is very different than the way it's generally defined in polls like this. Generally, those sorts of people are going to be paying less attention to the news. They're not registered. They don't generally tend to vote all that. In this case, they are voters. And so they seem to have absorbed, yes, there was probably something corrupt. But again, that is not necessarily the same as, and thus Joe Biden is corrupt and Joe Biden is only in this to enrich himself and blah, blah, all that stuff. Sid Graves, thank you for that. I've been drinking a lot of coffee myself, actually. Okay, so that's the first threshold. Do they think that there's something to it? And based on this evidence, it looks like that has sort of worked. It's seeped out there as a combination of, right-wing media coverage and all of that. And honestly, the likelihood that, like the families of all of our political elites, they're probably benefiting in some way. So that seems fair. Okay, but does it matter? Is a very different question. Is this going to save him? Is this going to give him 5% more of the vote, 2% more, 0.1% more? Is it going to do anything? And that's where the evidence isn't quite as strong. Okay, so let's take a look at this. When asked to choose, actually, before we jump into that, is this important to your vote? So there's two ways of looking into whether it's actually influencing you. Is this important to your vote? 2/3 of Republicans, 68%, say it's very important to their vote. Mark Hammond, thank you for your super chat there. Let's pause on that for a little bit, for just a second. 2/3 of Republicans say it's very important to their vote. I am not a psychic. I'm not a beta Z, but I'm going to make the bold claim that they're lying. It is not important to their vote. Now, that does not mean that they don't believe it. I'm sure it's core to their ideology, the belief that that is there. That's not the same as it being important to your vote. How can it be important when if it disappeared, your vote wouldn't change? Like, those Republicans believe Hunter Biden is corrupt. And if Hunter Biden had never been born, they would still be supporting Donald Trump. It's irrelevant to their vote. I'm quite literally. They think about it. They want to see news about it. It's important as sort of an identity that they have, but it has nothing to do with the actual outcome of their vote. So they're misinformed about what the word important means right there. But anyway, but they're not the ones that Donald Trump needs. Those people are already going to be supporting him. So for Democrats, 2/3, 67% say it's not important at all. And that is probably honest, actually. I would want to have follow-up questions for the other people. I don't know exactly where they fall out on or come out on this. Independents, 36% say the allegations are not at all important. A bunch aren't sure. 30% say they are very important. And so what does that mean? 36% say it doesn't matter. About 1/3. About 1/3 say it's very important, and about 1/3 isn't sure. Well, if we assume that independents are like most people, yeah, about 1/3 of them are probably going to be Republicans, actually. About 1/3 of them, thank you, John, about 1/3 of them are probably really going to be Democrats, and about 1/3 just aren't interested in politics at all. So that doesn't necessarily say much. Now, asking people, is this important to you, is one way to get to how important is an issue. But as I've tried to explain here, I don't think that people always answer that in a very honest way. Dante Gaming, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. So is this the most important issue to you? And not asking them that, not specifically, not saying is Hunter Biden's corruption the most important issue, just asking them generally, I want you to tell me what the most important issues are to you. That's another way that you could get at this, and they did that indeed as well. So in terms of being given a bunch of choices, just 3% of voters chose Hunter Biden as the #1 issue for them in this election. Hey, Cat Tower, how's it going? Do you want to be alone on an elevator with those people? Those people who are like going about their day, every day in America, interacting with the economy and society and politics, and at the end of the day, they think, in terms of the election, most important thing, Hunter Biden and Ukraine. My, what blessedly simple and stress-free lives they must lead. But anyway, 3% say that it's the most important issue. That, by the way, puts it at nearly the bottom of the list. The only things that fewer people choose as the most important issues to them are 1% is Russia. I don't know exactly, like just the concept of Russia, the whole country, its government, its foreign policy. I don't know. It's just Russia. But 1% and 2% is crime. So I mean, I guess, the attempt to fearmonger people about, looting and riots, and they're going to defund the police. John, thank you for your super chat. Doesn't really seem to be working because only 2% are really worried about crime right now. But isn't it weird that more people are worried about Hunter Biden than crime? I mean, theoretically, the fear with Hunter Biden is that he committed crimes. But anyway, it's only 3%. for perspective, the number one issue is the economy at 29%, so massive gap there. Even among Republicans, only 5% say that Hunter Biden is the most important issue for them. And honestly, even that, it's just 1 in 20 Republicans. But seriously, what is wrong with those Republicans? Like, you're a Republican. I find a lot of your beliefs about the world and society and race and gender and sexuality and all of that to be abhorrent and incomprehensible, some combination of those two things. But you've got other things that you're supposed to care about. Honestly, Hunter Biden, it's not even about Joe. Hunter isn't the one running. Doesn't make any sense. Y'all are weird. That goes out to all the Republicans in the country. Anyway, so based on this evidence, I would say that there is very little reason to believe that this is going to be successful in driving a significant number of votes. Minimal Chaos, thank you for buying the Dragon Squad tee. Right now, I've just got a regular Young Turks one on, but both the Damage Report and our awesome Dragon Squad t-shirt are available at Shop TYT, and apparently selling very well, which I love because I can't wait until the first time on the street I see someone wearing one of those two shirts, and also because I know that Cenk Uygur must be getting a little bit salty about the success of those shirts, and I want to see more designs, and more designs will come the more that they sell, so very excited about that. ShopTYT.com. I'm going to be wearing mine maybe on Election Day. I'm a bit torn about whether I'm going to wear the Dragon Squad shirt for solidarity or actually go fancy and wear a tie. I'm not actually sure. Oh, and there was a super chat. Jesse says, yeah, 0%. I'm not voting for Hunter Biden. At the end of the day, I'm voting for democracy. Exactly, Jesse. Thank you. Sherry, thank you for your super chat. By the way, and it seemed like the person who wrote that super chat is probably voting for Biden. But even if you're voting for Trump, man, you got to be able to come up with a better reason than Hunter Biden. Gabe G says, when are you guys going back to the studio? I'm in the studio. You think this is my house? This is the studio. The studio. This is the big abandoned, possibly haunted building I've been in. You know, there's not a ton of us here, obviously. I'm literally the only person in the building right now. Darren says, forget about Hunter. Do you worry about Joe's mental capacity? He can't complete sentences. Darren, look, I think that at least, if that is a thing that's driving a Republican to vote against Biden, okay, at least that's about the candidate. That's good. Am I worried that Joe is, gonna just fall into a blabbering mess? No, I'm not. I watched the debate. He's not as good as he was a few years ago, but he can still express himself. It's a combination of, he's obviously a little bit lower energy because he's getting older, and he's got the stutter. It's a combination of a few things, but he's still gonna be able to serve. He's gonna be able to do whatever. And honestly, like in any other election, I think the contrast could be clearer, but Donald Trump is talking about vanquishing vaccines, and he has no idea what's going on. He's talking about Tim Apple and everything. So I guess at a certain point, variables can wash out. John Oxford said, I say the earth is flat and motionless. You don't have to believe me. That's just the truth. Well, you are free to believe that, and thank you for your super chat. I don't personally believe it. Nipple Pierce Jenkins, Skinny Jeans, says, John, speaking the truth. Thank you. Well, technically, it's YouGov and the respondent speaking the truth. I'm just trying to analyze them. Deb does readings with a big super chat saying, thank you for all that you do. Deb does readings. Thank you for what you just did. I do appreciate that. The support for the channel helps keep me going. Now, okay, so that's our pre-show. I don't know what time it is because literally, my phone is what's broadcasting. Oh my God, we're running out of time. Okay, so the show is gonna be starting in about 24 minutes. Viviana Vigil is gonna be joining me. We're gonna have an awesome show. We're gonna be continuing Stakes Week here at TDR. The stakes are your healthcare. Tomorrow's gonna be climate change. We might get to that on today's show because we've produced a lot of content. We're gonna see what we can get to. That's coming up in just 24 minutes. So, go get yourself an affogato, whip yourself up a crepe or something like that, and then come back in a little bit more than 20 minutes. We're gonna have an awesome show. Hope to see you then. Thank you everybody who watched, liked the video, sent in super chats, all of that. Thank you so much.